Righto guys, here we have a Hino 300 with a 4 litre common rail diesel n04c, n40c engine at VNT turbocharged common rail 4 litre 4 cylinder, and this one has a blown head gasket. It is pressurizing the cooling system, but it passes a leak down test, so it's going to have to be a head gasket, or potentially a cracked head, but I'm going to say head gasket. So we've got to get all this off, ready to go to put the head on and put a new gasket in. So that's the surface we need to get down to. That's the block. All this is head. Obviously there's a bunch of stuff connected to it. I'm going to film the process. I couldn't find a video of a head gasket change on YouTube, so looks like it's up to us. I'm going to try and leave this as assembled as possible. The main reason for that is we have the ability to lift it off with an engine crane, and we don't actually need it to be light or manhandleable as such. So we're going to take off all the things that will be in the way, like the intake, the EGR pipe work. We may try and leave the turbo on. We'll try and get the exhaust off the turbo. Boost pipe work to the intercooler at the front. Coolant hoses. I would like to leave the radiator there, which should be no issues at all. So it's just a bunch of coolant hoses that link block to that. We'll have to undo the common rail fuel feed lines, which are down in here. That's where they head up to the head, and they are on the block. So the common rail distribution is on the block, but the actual runners are up on the inside of the intake manifold. I want to leave the intake manifold there. I want to leave all the wiring that I can unplug there. I want to do it the easiest way possible, essentially. So we tried to use Seal Up. You can see the shine, copper coating, the copper shine. That's from Seal Up. It did not work, and the only reasons that Seal Up won't actually seal something is if there's contamination in your cooling system, but this is all quite clean. There's no fuel or anything in it. So contamination or a high pressure leak. That's what this one's got going on. Like, cylinder compression would be 400 plus psi, I'd imagine. It should be somewhere around the 20 to 1 range. Interestingly, there's some orange yellow paint on some of these injectors feeds. These ones here must be for glow plugs. This one doesn't seem to run glow plugs, evidently. Yeah, not sure why. You think they'd be in some cold climates. So that there's not all the common symptoms of a head gasket, but it has certainly done a head gasket. We did think it was the EGR cooler for a bit, but that would leak back under a pressure test. I pumped this up to over 250 kPa, and its normal operating cap pressure, I believe, it's 108. So more than double and a bit, and it still was leaking down. I might release these in parts just to make them not so boring. So first part tonight, we're going to get the coolant out. We're going to start on the EGR system and the in and out pipe work of the engine, essentially. So I'll go around the other side, show you the other side. Here's side number 2. Where's the block? You can see the block underneath the exhaust manifold. So we've got dump pipe we can undo there. That should be good. Head bolts on this side are down in there. You see them? Yep, there's one. They're head bolts, which is good. So half of them are out. Half of them will be under the rocker cover. Same story. Coolant hoses. Is the alternator going to stay there? Yeah, the alternator can stay there. So we don't even have to do anything with the belts and things. So that's cool. That's an engine lifting lug. So what we'll have to do This will get a soft strap around the exhaust manifold and around the intake manifold. Probably chain it up to its cab guard and pick it up. There is a hoop here, just a little bit in the way, but yeah, we'll hold it up out of the way and get it out of here. So let's start with our intake system. I'll get some spray the bolts with some WD-40 on the exhaust and any that look like they'll be difficult. There's no such thing as too much WD-40 on a stuck bolt. Then we'll start dealing with the cooling system. Righto, we'll come back with some tools. So another massive advantage of me filming this process, you can see where all the things are that I pulled off, where they go. You can go back and watch my own video and see what we undid and why. And seeing as there's no video on YouTube to help me do this, sounds like I volunteered myself to be the one. Man, that's got a big barb on it. So I've got this delicious Milwaukee set of, this is a metric 8mm, a metric set, just a little 1/8 drive ratchet. So that foamy stuff in there, that's the seal up that didn't work, so we will be flushing all that out. We'll run a radiator flush, probably a nylon or something one through it. That's good. The other beautiful thing about a truck, how much space we've got for parts that we pull off. We'll run like a nylon cooling system flush through it. It has a new radiator and new pipe work, so it shouldn't be too big of a drama. We'll get all that milky copper coaty sealy shit out, which didn't work, but it was a worthwhile test because it could have been a $70 head gasket fix potentially. Okay, so that intake pipe facing up can stay on the turbo. But what we're going to do is we're going to roll him around, face it down so no rain can get in, obviously. No, that's not a, that's a 7mm. Doesn't help us. We need to get the coolant out of the bottom as well. So let's drop this intercooler hose off. No, don't need. Oh yes, we will. No, we'll need to take that one off. That flanged intercooler joint, so we can lift the engine up off. We'll have to take that banjo bolt off down there too. You see that one on the back of the oil filter? That's the turbo feed. So we might need a gasket for that. We'll undo single-sided rubber mount there and pull that steel pipe off of there. That gets us more access to the head because we've got to get to that back bolt there. Righto. Drop this cooling system. Beauty of this nice new radiator. A nice new drain bar. Catch that and go and get rid of that properly. That stuff's probably not real good for anything. It has got glycol in it and it has seal up in it. Right, let's get some of these air intake bits off. They keep being smaller. Some of them must be 6 or 7mm. This one undone. Where it goes from hard line to plastic line. Comes down there. Is that a mass airflow motor? I think that's a mass airflow motor. We want to be careful with that. We need a ring spanner for that one. And to get those two undone. What size of the day? They must be 12 or 14. Little ratchet. Isn't that cute? Deep series with a little ratchet. No, 12. So for this video, if this helps you guys out with doing your head gasket on your little Hino truck, let me know that it helped you out, and I'll keep making long form videos of repairs that I do. In the last few months I've had a lot of jobs pop up where I've had the ability to buy stuff for very little compared to what it's worth, just because it needed fixing. And because of that, it's just a win for me, win for my mates, all those kinds of things. So I'm going to do more of it essentially, and I'm going to film it all, because I'm just, those whacker packers the other day, the trench compactors, I bought 2 of those for $250, and being able to buy those things for little money means you can afford to spend some time fixing things. And if it's one thing this world needs, is a little bit more of fixing things. Everyone's really quick to throw things in the bin, and even if they're throwing them in to get recycled, recycling still means that you're done with it. Reusing means that you've got another use for it. I'd much rather see people reusing things than turfing them like they do. Because there's only so much stuff you can throw in the ground before there's no room anymore on the world. I'm not saying we're close to that point, but I just hate waste, simply. Righto, so you get that one undone. That one's a 10mm. Now, I'm sure I'm in the minority when I say I enjoy fixing things. A lot of people don't have the time, patience, or the knowledge. The knowledge is free. Get out there. Stand there and look at your problem and then search on YouTube. That's actually quite rubberized, that bit. Give that a few more cranks. Let's get the WD-40 out. Not sponsored. If WD-40 or some other lubricant brand want to sponsor me after this, yeah, you know how to find my email address. I'll gladly use your product if it's good. The WD-40 Orange Degrees is actually really sick. I don't know if you guys have ever used that. Very cool product. Still pretty tight, see if it swivels now. Yeah, see, look at how much difference that made. Bit of lubricity. Let me just get that off. So we're going to put that intake pipe facing an even better direction, more further around than that. I've left the hose clamps on it. On the back of the truck you go. Okay, so straight away you can see, let's open up some space to our EGR cooler inlet back to the block. We're going to look at deleting the EGR cooler in the future, depending whether it needs to be tuned after the fact or what. Up there you can see we've got that bolt there which holds that intake pipe in. That's a get from above. Let's go back over the other side. That one might be an issue with the tip truck. He didn't have the memo of the WD-40. These Milwaukee sockets are really good, but I like being able to push the button and drop the extension off. I'm just going going to try and film absolutely every part of this for you guys, so that if you need it, you've got it. Let me screw this out. Is there two of them, do you reckon? There's one on the other side of the head as well. It's an intake pipe across the top of the motor. See how long that is? See how rusty that is? There's two. Oh, around the other side. So I ordered a head gasket off eBay. It was in Queensland, Australia. Oh wow, it's a big ratchet job. It was only $120. I will link it in the video description. Not a promotion for them or anything, just yeah, not expensive kit. That was a two-hand swing. What I'm also going to do, it's probably good practice, is to just put the bolts on the side of the engine that they came from, rather than mixing and matching. So straight on the tray on the side that they came from. Take a bit of a look at them. When I put this back together, I may have to have my laptop with me. So that's that one. Let's get this other top one up here. We need an extension on our 3/8 ratchet. It's like a 200mm. These are once again 12mm. We're going down in there. Sorry, I had to put you down to swing on that. Got a really fine ratchet, these Milwaukee's. As you see, that's straight down in the back of the head there. The intake pipe's starting to move around now. So what we may also do is replace some of these hoses that are hard to get to. I'd love to do this job in the comfort of my shed, but the truck's too long to actually swing around into the shed. Okay, let's see if we can get this off the front of the turbo. Might need two hands. Alright, so I recommend doing this with all of your rubber hoses you need to get off. These must be a 3-bolt flange on the back of the turbo. We get that. The banjo bolt down there. We hit that. Yeah, we can hit that. Just that bit of lubrication. I'm trying to get a rubber part to separate. It's just life changing, see? You fight it for a little bit and then it just comes straight off. What do we got down there? That must be a crankcase vent pipe. Screwdriver still. It'd be nice if they stayed still when you tried to turn them. Make life a bit easier. We only need to get that one off. So we get that crankcase vent pipe off. And that one off. We can lift the turbo off with the engine. There is another hose in there that's gonna have to come off. That line's on the head. Yeah, that thermostat housing, etc., is also on the head. should be able to pick that up. There's a couple of hoses there. Drop the exhaust off the back of the turbo. Let's see if we can get them off without the need of an impact. Anything I don't film, I'll come back and recap. If I struggle. Nope, they're bigger. I don't need to use an impact on them, I reckon. What else can we do? That pipe's set free now. Wow. I think that's overkill for an intake pipe much. It's not like it's under pressure. Why do they make them so big? Let's get these two undone. I want to see what's under that cover. I've got to say, this is good to work on from a accessibility standpoint because the cab's just up and out of the way. I can't complain about that part. Oh, that one's undone. Put them there. Very gentle pressure to lift that. Yep, it's got a seal on it, so that will be getting replaced. Oil caps in the way. Yep, we've got injector plugs. That's just a decorative cover there. Let's cover up these injector plugs for the CRD injectors. So we'll put that back on. And what we need to do to undo these, well, very little. Quite easy to undo, guys. Just pinch, slide. Pinch and slide. Just like that. Look at that, that's great. This should be into the top of the engine. Can't wait to see what's in here. How do these go? That's a bracket, holds that wiring there, so we'll get that bracket off as well. One thing about this engine is it's quite clean. Okay, so that's that one free. That one free. Let's get that wiring clip off. We might put that one straight back into the head after we release the wire. Get that out of our way. Put him back. There's a lot of times where you can leave. It's gone. You can leave a lot of wiring and bolts and stuff like that plugged together still. Top gasket. Which is okay because we're getting a new one. Give that stuff all a clean up before we put the engine back together. Let's have a look in here. Oh, that's a nasty trick there. It's got spacers. Don't lose your spacers. Jeez, that's rough. Okay. It smells like a diesel engine in here. Let's get in so we can have a sit and a look. Okay, so it's push rod. That's good news because we can undo the head with them where they are. Or do we have to take rocker assembly out? We may have to take rocker assembly out to get to our head bolts. So we've got these external ones, and we've got an internal and another internal. Oh, there's lots actually. There's... Yeah, they're in a weird pattern. There's lots of head bolts. Okay. It appears... this doesn't give us any advantage to undoing the CRD lines there. So we've got to take the rocker assembly off. The injectors appear to be able to stay there when the rocker assembly is off. Let's get that gasket out of there. Goodbye, gasket. Okay, well, rocker assembly is just a rocker assembly. They're attached or floating. They are attached. They float on top of the rocker arms there. So it appears to be 4 valves per cylinder, which is cool. And realistically, we just have to get that valve train undone, wrap that up and sit that on the back of the truck. We need to get head bolts undone, get rid of any hoses and stuff regarding fuel, undo the dump pipe, the turbo oil feed, this return for the crankcase vent, some cabling which will undoubtedly affect us lifting it, overflow hose, top of radiator hose need to be removed. That one comes out like that, that's easy. That one can come off there. So we may have to send the head off to get it checked if there's not a really obvious head gasket. We'll stick it on a flat straight edge, probably a glass surface, and look for rock or movement. We can always spread out some ultra thin oil or whatever and just place it down very gently and make sure it's flat. And failing that, and if we think there's any issues with the head itself, we'll send it off. We'll look for cracks and stuff like that. You can generally see them. And fingers crossed this is just a basic head gasket. Here's what we're hoping for. You know, I need a pair of pliers to take that off. I might take it off of there, the crankcase vent, take it off that one, pull that off, poke that back on the front of the turbo, just keep the debris out of that, and undo this intercooler line. And we might call it a night, so grab some pliers and pop these off. Okay, we've got the intake off. There's a bit of oil in the front of there, but then I realised that it is crankcase breather. Turbo turbine fins look really good. It's obviously an anti-surge housing. It's an M24 Garrett. AR ratio 0.44. So that's cool. I found our intercooler line here is actually secured below our alternator, so we're going to get that undone. Down in here. So when we take our intercooler feed line off our turbo, so our charge pipeline, that came out of down there. So I've got one off there. I've just got to get the inside one, and then it looks like that big aluminium piece should come undone down at this joint here. So we'll pull that out and stick that on the tray. Get that in there. We can. I accidentally flicked the thing. Righty tighty, lefty loosey. I think a plumber would know that. Got it. It's hard to lose that one. It's a really big nut. So that's cool, that's out of there. I'm a little bit worried that all of that turbo stuff somewhere has a mount back to the block. There's that big box off the back of the turbo. That must be the actuator for the variable variable nozzle turbo. It doesn't actually run a wastegate, it's a variable nozzle style. So it's a little bit of a concern. Let's go around the other side and have a look over there for a bit. So we can drop this return line off. We'll undo that and give it the WD-40 treatment. Undo it in two places, down here and there. Get that out of our way. If you give all your hose clamps and pipes to WD treatment before you undo them, generally you're going to get a better result. And that banjo bolt and those lines there look like they're going to have to come. The fuel rail there is definitely bolted to the block, so let's get those lines from the fuel rails hit as well. It's going to be a bit in this, I think. It's going to take a little while to get done, but here's what it is. Hopefully it helps some people. This is only a 2007 model truck, so it's by no means old yet. My goal is to have this going by Christmas, so I can spend Christmas setting it up with some toolboxes on it and start driving it for work. Okay, one hose clamp. Like, people that mount hose clamps like that, there's no words for it. Stupid angles. Way too tight. I know. Not tight enough for a half decent boost hose on a common rail engine. This thing would have to run some boost. It's only a little 4 litre and it makes 420 newtons. Should have to have a bit of sauce in there. So I'm a little bit new to the world of Hinos. The only experience I have with them are old ones. They were all naturally aspirated straight 6s from the 80s. Oh, I had one turbo one. It was a work truck for a scrap metal company I used to work for. So you've got literally all the room in the world if you've got that facing up that way. So this is going to be used to tow our work excavator. It's only a 1.7 and cart other things around. There it is, just like that. Another one down. It's an interesting pipework tract down and around to the intercooler. Anyway, onward we travel. Throttle body. And big plug there. Sounds like it'd be painful, but working with WD-40 all over everything is actually a good thing. It certainly makes your life easier when you've got stuff to undo. Going pretty well with the old 12mm bolts so far. Should have a magnetic parts disc dish. Have to ask my mate if he's got one. It's a hard line, so I'm not sure why that actually has a thing. So we could potentially take the inlet manifold off. Reasonably easy by the looks of things. And that would allow us to undo these common rail lines with the fors and againsts. Could leave the intake manifold off the engine. I think that might be the ticket. Let's get some spray. All the bolts we can see. Hopefully those common rail injector lines going into the head there will come undone. Let's get this EGR cooler line off the intake manifold here. We can leave that sitting over the top of the head then. And start undoing manifold bolts, I guess. So we need a 14mm for the EGR cooler. Let's go big ones. 14. It's pretty cool how they got their numbers on them. Etched in really nicely. Cheating a little bit with that. I've actually had that undone already when I was doing the leak down tests. Oh wow, that's tight. Short extension to get that above so I don't smash my fingies. If I get a chance, I'll put this into chapters down the bottom, but it's very easy for you to skip through the content. 2 hands. Wow, they're tight. Very easy for you to skip through the content to see each step, or if you get stuck on a step, you can skip through the video to see the next bit. I'm doing it all in 4K. Got lots of LEDs around so we can see. So they're going to be some big videos to upload, but should be worth it. Definitely be worth it if we can help somebody out. It's a little bit tighter than I thought. It's alright. What else needs to go? We need to find a spanner to fit these common rail lines. Looks like about a 17. Right, there's a couple of small things I didn't mention at the start of the video. Because you'll be working in proximity to live wires like your alternator and starter, you want to isolate your batteries. This has an isolator switch, so that's really easy. I've soaked all these things ready for tomorrow. Tomorrow night I'll have another go at tidying this up and pulling some more parts apart. Accidentally broke this plastic clip there, but it still goes together and still clicks, so it's still got a good seal. It hasn't actually exposed anything to moisture, etc. I'm going to wrap the engine up with the with some plastic now and get that wrapped up and put my tools away and come back and do it all again tomorrow. I've got a massive big plastic bag we're going to wrap the top of it up with and put some heavy things on it to hold it down and keep stuff out of this valve train. And yeah, next video we'll pull the rocker assembly off, pull the intake manifold off, and see what we're left working with. Get the injector lines undone. Yeah, see if we can't get that head to slip out of there. Catch you on the next video. Thanks for watching. If this helps you out, make sure you let me know. And if you're liking this long form content, you can leave playing in the background or whatever while you're doing stuff in your own shed. Let me know and I'll keep making them. Thanks guys. Catch you on the next one.